everybody, it's Jake Moran with Keller Williams, and this video is going to make you laugh a little bit and hopefully share some actual practical steps of guidance that you can help safeguard yourself against some hiccups, hang-ups, and headaches in the world of real estate in your world. So we actually just moved, is why I've got a non-set set today, because two things. One, I have this because I like just looking at the planet, and I also like somehow reminding myself that somehow, you know the expression, it takes all kinds to make the world go around? Cue world going around. I don't think it takes all kinds. I just think there's a lot of kinds that somehow we continue to not evolve in our world of thinking. Here's good old North America for us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, not all real estate agents are created equal. We all have the capacity to be equal. We all have the capacity to do our jobs really well. And at the same time, what I tell agents all the time that I train in our office is it is obscenely easy to stand out in real estate. In my opinion, it is one of the easiest industries to stand out in real estate because there are so many terrible real estate agents. And most of you watching this are laughing right now because you've probably seen or experienced and hopefully not been in a transaction with them. But I can tell you, this guy has. I'm dealing with one right now. And just to give a little bit of credence and credibility to me, if you've not dealt with me in the world of real estate, this is my third or fourth sign like this. I've actually got another one in my yard right now from this past year. I know what I'm doing. I'm in the top 20% of agents in our market because I do exactly what I'm sharing with you. I treat people the way I would want to be treated in the world of real estate, and I actually work. One of the things I was doing right before I did this video was doing some reverse prospecting for my clients. I've got 2 listings right now that are not under contract. The contract just fell out this week, and what a lot of agents don't even know to do, and if you're part of the general public and you're selling something, you should ask your agent about this. It's Friday afternoon, 2:39, and I just finished up doing some reverse prospecting, which is basically on the back end of the MLS. Any listings that I have, I can see who has set up searches for their buyers on them. So on the MLSs that we're on, one of my listings was a piece of land. Another one is a home, and the land had, I think, 74 searches that it had shown up on. So I can reach out to all 74 of those agents personally and say, hey, we had a contract just fall through on this property. Do you have any questions about it? Are your buyers interested? Have you picked up any other buyers whom this might be a good fit for? It's not 100%. Nothing in our business is 100%, but it does give you the ability as the listing agent and as the seller to be canvassing some more people, making sure your property is getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And what I know is these agents, these 74 agents for this particular piece of property, they have active buyers who are looking for something like this in this market, in this area. So why wouldn't I? I can tell you why I wouldn't. Because most agents are not at 2:40 on a Friday afternoon actively working, which again is kind of why I go back to it is obscenely easy to stand out in real estate. Do your job well, treat it like a job, and treat people like they actually matter more than the transaction. And it's amazing what real estate will do for you. The other side of this is the hardest part of real estate. Some people ask me, what's it like getting started in real estate? And I'm like, if you treat it like a job and you actually understand that you're starting a small business, your first 2 years should feel like a lot of work because it's a small business that you're starting. But the hardest part of what I do at this point in my world is managing the other side of the transaction when you have a situation where the other parties involved in the transaction, there's lots of moving parts. You got appraisers, inspectors, lenders, you've got title companies, you've got closing attorneys, you've got other agents. Also, all kinds of moving parts going on. The hardest part of my job is handling the other side of the transaction when it becomes clear that the other side does not know what they're doing. And it happens a ton. I've got one right now that has been under contract for 4 weeks. We're supposed to close next week. And the first conversation I had with the lender, I can't get all the information I'd like to get, but what I can ask them is, do you have the or do you have the documents from the buyer? I don't care if they filled out an application. You know, a monkey can fill out an application and get a pre-approval letter. Do you have their documents in hand? Kind of important that they have that. Have you done preliminary underwriting just to see any red flags on underwriting? Because I'm trying to protect my clients, the sellers in this case, from having any heartburn, any roadblocks, any last minute issues getting to closing. Because my job is for my folks to go from square one to the closing table as smooth as humanly possible. Because I've done my job of making sure I'm checking all the things on the back end that I can to make sure it feels smooth and awesome and a great experience for them. So lots of moving parts going on. I'm trying to check that out on the front end. And I asked the lender, because this particular instance was a VA loan, do you think we can hit this closing date? Because it's a pretty aggressive closing date for a VA loan. And what I know is when you have the VA involved, like you just got a couple extra steps involved. So I just knew that on the front end. And she said, yes, we should be able to do this. I'll need to get the appraisal ordered as soon as we get the contract in hand. So it took us a few days to get the contract signed, and for the life of me, I could not understand it at that point in the contract if it was the other agent, the buyer's agent, or the buyers were dragging their feet. Like somebody's not doing their part, and I can't get a response. I can't get an answer. I can't get the things that I want to know on our side, so that I know, okay, we got a difficult buyer. Do we have an agent who doesn't know what they're doing? Is it both and couldn't get an answer on that. So I ended up sending the contract. Once we got everything signed, I, as the listing agent, sent the buyer's lender the contract, because at this point I did not trust the buyer's agent to do their job. Not a good way to start the transaction, but again, it doesn't prohibit us from being able to get to closing and get my sellers what they want. So I sent the lender the contract. Then I went and found the closing attorney. It was a closing attorney I'd not worked with yet, found them online and sent them the contract, because I also didn't trust the buyer's agent to do either one, to send the contract to the closing attorney or to the lender. So I'm trying to make sure that all the parties that need to have the contract and know what's going on directly from me, the listing agent, even though that's not my place and it's not my job. No reason I can't do it. It's just not something you should be doing on the other side of the transaction. So we have to go out of town for a couple of weeks. I told them I'm still working. We have Wi-Fi. We have email. I just won't have the ability to make phone calls because we're going to be outside of cell coverage. But you're not the only transaction I've got going on. We're still working. Like, I got my computer. Like, I just don't leave me a voicemail because I won't be able to get it. Okay? Checking in. How's everything going? Everything good? Because we got plenty of time in this deal. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, so everything good. How's the appraisal coming up? Haven't heard from anybody. Checking with my sellers. Everything's like not being responded to for no reason. I have absolutely no idea. To make a long story short, we get back in cell coverage area. So we're out of the country with our son for a medical procedure, but we're still working. So we get back on Wednesday night. On Thursday morning, we're in touch with the reaching out to the lender, reaching out to the other agent, trying to figure out what is going on. We're supposed to close in 8 days. We have not heard from the appraiser. The the buyer's agent nor the lender has asked for a couple other things that I know are required for VA loans. So I'm doing all of that in the background to make sure those things are done, which even though it's not my job, I know it needs to be done, and I don't trust either of the other parties on the other side, the lender or the buyer's agent at this point. And the closing attorney responds and says, hey, we still don't have a title order from the lender. So that's not something I can do. But then I responded to the lender and said, hey, haven't heard from an appraiser and don't have a title order. You know who got a title order that afternoon? Yep, the closing attorney. Left a voicemail with the lender last night. So it was Thursday, today's Friday. They finally responded and sent me hey, we haven't had a response from the appraiser. Can you reach out to them? Because as the lender, they cannot have direct contact with the appraiser. I'm like, I'm happy to. Please send it to me. I will call them the minute I get it. So I get the email, true to my word, call them, leave a voicemail with the appraiser, send them an email. The appraiser calls me back within 20 minutes. On their lunch break, calls me back. You want to know when they got the appraisal request that I had asked for at that point 3 times? Yesterday. Should have gotten it 3 weeks ago, and they got it yesterday. This is where I go back to, do not assume all agents are created equal, even though we can have the capacity to be, and do not assume everybody is doing their job equally, even though we could. So I am now managing part of the lender's job, most of the other agent's job, and my job to make sure my clients are able to close smoothly. Because at the end of the day, it's about my clients having that experience, even though we got a bunch of monkeys in the circus that don't know what's going on and seemingly don't know north from south. Globe reference. So all of that to say, I was able to manage to get the title work put through ASAP, coordinating with the closing attorney saying, hey, we got to have this back so we get the preliminary CD because we got a 3-day wait on that for closing, which means we got to have that by Monday. They were able to get it back today, turned around in 24 hours. We had the appraisal scheduled for first thing Monday morning. Can possibly get that turned around in the same period so that my clients, again, the ultimate prize here, getting my clients on schedule for their closing as planned at the end of next week. It should not be this complicated, you're thinking. You're exactly right. It shouldn't be this complicated, but there's lots of moving parts, and there is a ton of people who don't know what they're doing in the world of real estate. Do not have them helping you in your transaction. You need somebody who has a sign like this or something akin to it as part of their resume, because they treat this like a job. I'm not the only one that can help you out in the world of real estate. There's some great agents. Actually, the agent on the other side of the transaction, the property my clients are buying, is phenomenal. I would work with him again in a heartbeat. But don't assume that when you go on your public platforms, the ones that starts with a Z, there's one that starts with a T, there's no ones that starts with an R, there's lots of ones. Don't assume that the agents who are on there know what they're doing. Don't assume that because your friend knew somebody or somebody's in your office or a family member may have their license, that means that they know what they're doing. As I've shared with you, there's lots of people who are currently doing things in real estate that is atrocious. It is horrible client management. It's horrible business. Always be vetting people. Check out Google reviews. Get personal references. All of those things can be done. If somebody's been in the business for years and they only have 4 Google reviews, tread lightly. Probably not a good idea, okay? Ask more people, and a lot of people don't know, and I'll wrap up with this. even if you're not in my area that I cover, I can find you an agent who's like me in the market that you're looking for in the area you're serving. Because what I can do is I can see the metrics on the back end. I can see what kind of business and volume and how long they've been doing and how many transactions they've closed, how many buyers, how many listings. I can see all that. Then I stalk them very candidly. I will go in as though I'm you and stalk their social media, stalk their website, look at stuff like that, because I know between the back end and the public facing end, I know how to get a good agent that knows what they're doing. And then based on that, then I call them and I have an actual a live phone call with them to just see what their experience is. Talk to them on the phone. See if they answer their phone. Like crazy stuff like that. So if I can help you, whether it is real estate related here in Georgia or it is anywhere else in the country, and you're just like, I just need some help and I need somebody who like knows what they're doing more than the past experiences I've had, or maybe this is your first time and you just have no idea where to start, I am happy to help you out. My information is coming up at the end. I've always got a couple of outtakes, especially right after moving and right after getting back in the country. And we're going to kind of mish it all together like a good plate of spaghetti. As warning rant, we're supposed to be part of planet Earth for things are, this is not even a sentence right now. You know, the line's coming through for some unknown reason. I don't know why. I hate moving. But we've moved like way too many times. But I can't pass up a good deal either. The sun somehow just managed to come out just exactly now. I love things that happen just now. On my channel, seat. This is a different seat. Why are there so many controls on this seat? Love. What's this here? I don't even know what's happening. Unlike that, didn't have to do any. I can't even. I sound like the president right now.